Loneliness did not arrive suddenly in Angela's life. It did not knock. It did not announce itself. It seeped in slowly, like damp through old walls, until one day, it was everywhere behind her eyes, in her chest, under her skin. By the time she noticed it, it had already learned her routines. Christmas had always been like that for Angela, a season that reminded her not of warmth, but of absence. The absence of noise, the absence of obligation, the absence of being missed. While other people counted days until celebration, Angela counted hours until it was over. So when the office asked if she could come in between Christmas and New Year, she did what she always did. She pretended to resist. She sighed, complained softly, rolled her shoulders, as if burdened by the request. The performance was convincing enough. No one suspected the truth. She had been hoping they would ask. The building greeted her with darkness. Angela turned on only the lights above her desk, creating a narrow pool of brightness, surrounded by shadow. The rest of the office stayed unlit, silent, waiting. Outside, the moon hung pale and useless, illuminating nothing at all. She sat down and arranged her desk with careful precision. Pens, a line, papers squad. Everything in its place. Order, she had learned, was something you could control when everything else slipped away. Her heart beat faster than necessary. Veronica was never late. In nearly 4 decades, she had built a reputation out of punctuality, not just arriving early, but arriving early with confidence, with grace, as if time itself bent slightly in her favor. Angela had noticed long ago that people watched Veronica when she entered a room. Men, women, light. Angela had watched too. When Veronica finally arrived at 8:04 a.m., she looked exactly as Angela had imagined she would. Time had touched her. Yes. Lines, softness, marks that could not be denied, but none of it diminished her presence. Sequins caught the fluorescent light. Her heels announced her arrival with deliberate rhythm. Angela felt the familiar tightening in her chest. Admiration tangled with resentment, braided together so tightly she could no longer tell them apart. They worked quietly. They spoke of nothing important. Television shows, food, the weather. Their shared history hovered between them, heavy and unspoken. Years of meetings, supervision sessions, office parties, redundancies, small victories, small humiliations, all compressed into polite sentences and careful smiles. When the work was done, Veronica packed her bag. She mentioned her family casually. The boys were waiting. Dinner needed to be made. A life continued beyond these walls. Angela listened. Angela nodded. She watched Veronica walk away, disappearing briefly into the small pink bathroom down the hall. For a moment, sharp, an electric can image crossed Angela's mind. A thought so sudden and so vivid it made her blink. She imagined following her, holding the door shut, taking something she had never been given. The thought horrified her. The thought thrilled her. It passed. Angela left the building quickly, her breath unsteady, her legs carrying her home before she could think too much about why she was shaking. Her house greeted her with a different kind of quiet. This quiet was alive. Upstairs, the second bedroom stirred. Cages lined the walls, stacked carefully, lovingly. Feathers shifted. Tiny claws scraped metal. Soft, restless sounds filled the air. Angela felt herself relax. Here, she was needed. The birds watched her with bright, unblinking eyes. They listened when she spoke. They did not interrupt. They did not leave. She fed them, cleaned for them, spoke to them as if they understood. Perhaps, in their own way, they did. Much later, far later than Angela ever knew, I watched too. I watched through a tear in everything, through a thin place where time frayed. I watched my daughter lift a hammer with trembling hands. I watched as she drove 2 nails through 2 small blue birds. Christmas passed without ceremony. No snow fell. No bells rang. The hours stretched wide and empty, begging to be filled. Angela filled them as best she could. Television, static, lists of things she did not need. thoughts she tried not to follow. In the early hours of New Year's Eve, she dressed warmly and packed a small metal cage into a trolley. She walked through the park while the sky still looked unfinished. The world paused between days. No one was there. She had counted on that. Blackbirds wheeled overhead like knives cutting the air. Angela moved into the shadows, set her trap carefully, filled it with seed, and left without looking back. Weeks passed. Nothing happened. Everything changed. At work, days blurred together. Sheila called in sick. Angela did the work of two people. Veronica talked endlessly about family, about parties, about a life Angela could only imagine. Angela smiled and nodded and returned each evening to her birds. They understood her. She was certain of it. I remembered the first bird. A small sparrow flew in through the open window the day before I left her. She closed the window behind it. It never left. Now, from where I watched, I understand what Angela never could. The birds were never the beginning. Loneliness was, and loneliness, when fed patiently, learns not only how to sing, but how to ask to be loved back.